Hey, it's Kay. Welcome back to Book Club. Today we're going to be talking about Hungerstone by Kat Dunn. This is my first five-star read for the entire year of 2025. I love this book so much that I bought a physical copy. Yeah, she's gorge. Before I get into my full spoiler review, I'm going to tell you why you should read this book and then come back. If you are like a feminist, womanist, and you like talking about gender and the performance of gender, read this book. If you are critical of capitalism and the exploitation of the working class, read this book. If you are a Woola, if you are a sapphic and you like vampires and witches, read this book. If you like historical fiction and period pieces, read this book. Okay, is that enough reasons? Can I start now? Okay, then let's begin. I actually did read Carmilla, the original Carmilla, a long time ago, and I really didn't like it. I don't like when lesbianism is in the subtext. Like, put it in the text. Put it in the text, you cowards. This book is a Carmilla retelling, but I think it also tells its own story. Okay, so part one. It is not the dead you should fear. So this book takes place in 1880s England. So this is like a I'm not going to say it's Regency era because I'm not 100% sure. I'm not a historian. I did not Google 1880s England before I started this review. Maybe I should have. It's like a time period where women are completely dependent on their husbands to be the providers. Propriety and status is very important in this time period. And we are following a woman named Lenore. She is 30 years old when the book starts, and it starts with her getting her period. Yeah, this is a theme that's going to come up a lot. Obviously, we're talking about a Carmilla retelling, so blood is going to be very relevant. I think blood also serves as like a metaphor for womanhood. If you think about being a woman, it is very tied to blood and like how much can you bleed and sacrifice for others, and that will determine how good of a woman you are, how well you are performing womanhood. So I think it's a great way to start the book. She gets her period. And as we learn more about Lenore, we see that she's like a deeply, deeply unsatisfied woman. She's unsatisfied with life. She's unsatisfied with her marriage. She holds a lot of guilt and a lot of shame. She is in a child free, loveless marriage to a piece of shit. Her husband's name is Henry. We'll get into all the reasons why he's a piece of shit. Just you wait for it. You're gonna hate him. She's been married for 10 years, and it alludes to them having love for each other or being romantic with each other at one point in time, but that is not the case anymore. There is no love and no passion in their relationship. They have not had sex in like a year. As we see them interact throughout the book, you'll notice that like she has to tiptoe around his emotions, but she is not allowed to feel not a drop of anything other than happiness. He does not hold space for any emotion that she might have. Let's talk about her ancient ass husband. His name is Henry, and he is a greedy businessman. Like every time he popped up in this book, all I could think about was that one comic of Poison Ivy slapping the fuck out of that businessman, saying like no one will ever miss a greedy CEO. Literally, that is her husband. That is Henry right there. Henry breadcrumbs her, like he just like gives her little bits and little tiny bobs of affection so that she'll like be content with that, but it's not enough. Obviously, that's not enough. The reason why I say that he's a greedy businessman is because we get like little hints throughout the book that he is like the CEO or owner of like a business where the working conditions in his factory are really, really bad. We don't get to know too much about that because women aren't allowed to know these things, but even Lenore is picking up on the fact that he is shady his business practices put his employees at risk. Yeah. So it is coming up on their 10-year anniversary. So Lenore, she leaves him just like a little cute little note, whatever, like little cute little love note. And she finds him burning the note that she wrote. So she's like, "Did you really burn my note?" And he is so dismissive. He's like, "Oh, you're not being emotional, are you?" I'm laughing cuz he makes me really angry. Yeah. They are moving out of London. They're moving to, I believe, Sheffield, and their homestead is called Nethershaw. And that's where the majority of the book will take place. The night before they move to the country, Lenore is in her bed and she has a dream that a beautiful, gorgeous, amazing, hot woman comes into her room in the night and gets into her bed and starts sucking on her neck. Yeah. She wakes up and she doesn't see anyone there, so she's like, "Oh, okay, it was just a dream." But the window's open, and she didn't leave that window open, honey. Next day is moving day. They pack all their shit. They're leaving. They're going to the country. And Henry tells her to have their homestead ready for a party in 2.5 weeks. And she's like, okay. She can't say no. I also want to touch base real quickly before we get into the meat and potatoes. The relationship that she has with her aunt. So when she was around 12 years old, her parents got into a carriage accident. This is another instance in her life that is marked by blood. She remembers like her entire body and her hair like dripping in her mother's blood. So she's forced to live with her aunt Daphne, and their relationship is very cold. Her aunt is uncaring and impossible to please. So she lived in a constant state of like hypervigilance because no matter what she did, her aunt was always mad at her and never gave her any love, never held any space for her. So you can imagine that she's experienced all this neglect as a child, and it leads to her neglecting herself and her needs as an adult. Her interactions with Aunt Daphne are like sprinkled throughout the book. Just know that her childhood with Aunt Daphne left her feeling like her needs and wants were unwelcome. And she is socialized to believe that if she never asks for anything, never wants anything, then she might be someone who is tolerable and someone who is lovable. So that's where our girl Lenore is coming from. So, present day, Lenore and Henry, they finally arrive in Sheffield and they're making their way over to Nethershaw and it's pouring rain. Lenore asks if they could stay in a hotel so they don't have to travel in this weather. And Henry says that none of the hotels here are like suitable. So they have to travel to Nethershaw tonight. They're traveling in the rain. And on their way to Nethershaw, they find like a carriage turned over, wrecked in the road. There is an injured woman in the carriage. So they take her back to Nethershaw. They call a doctor, and the doctor says that she's unwell. She needs to be on bed rest. There might be something wrong with her, like a brain injury. We learn that the woman's name is Carmilla Kernstein. Carmilla refuses to share much else about her other than her name. And when Lenore sees her, she's like, "Oh my god, that is Shodi from my dream. The dream where I had sleep paralysis and she sucked on my neck." Nethershaw, their home is in shambles. It's a wreck. And they have to host a party in 2.5 weeks. So Lenore's like, "Girl, I have to get to work. I don't have time to be worrying about Carmilla, who's from my dream." Well, Lenore immediately busies herself with the repairs of the house. And even though she's super busy, she cannot stop thinking about Miss Carmilla. So she ends up bringing Carmilla lunch. And this is their first time interacting. And she notices that Carmilla is not eating. Lenore feels a bit uncomfortable in Carmilla's presence just because Carmilla just she doesn't care to be proper. She's very direct. She speaks the truth. She has like a romantic way about her, the way that she expresses herself, and it makes Lenore uncomfortable. Carmilla compliments her and tells her to not dismiss herself. And she asks Lenore to tell her her story. So she tells her about her parents dying, about growing up with Aunt Daphne, about how unsatisfied she is in her marriage. She's never told anyone about this stuff. And she feels fear and relief in sharing all of this with Carmilla. And Carmilla really affirms her in this moment and tells her that, like, baby, you deserve so much better than that. Lenore tells Carmilla that Henry says that she should just try to be happier. She leaves Carmilla because Carmilla is still kind of sick and under the weather. She goes to clean Henry's dirty ass room. I think it's amazing that like they include the detail that his room is dirty. Lenore cleans his room, and while she's cleaning it, she finds a diamond necklace. Ooh, she's like, oh shit, like this is our 10-year anniversary gift that he got for me. Let me just put it back, and then I have to act surprised when he gives it to me later. So that night, Henry, Carmilla, and Lenore have dinner together, and he's like immediately rude to her and asks like what's wrong with her and why she can't stay somewhere else. Lenore does not want her to leave. So that night, Lenore, she has some private time, some self loving time, and she starts thinking about Carmilla. When she realizes what she's doing, she like stopped herself and she's scandalized by having thought of Carmilla during that. So the next morning, Lenore, she finds one of her maids in Carmilla's room devouring hair out of Carmilla's hairbrush. And she's like, oh my god, get out. She tells the maid to leave and she's like yelling at Carmilla, like, girl, what the fuck did I just stumble upon? Carmilla's being nonchalant about it. Like, oh, I think she was just hungry. Lenore also ends up apologizing about how Henry told Carmilla that he wanted her to leave and stuff. Carmilla affirms her again by saying like, "Oh yeah, like your man is very tiresome." Carmilla asks Lenore to lay in bed with her, and she rests her head on Lenore's shoulder. And Lenore's like, "Ugh, I can't move. Like this intimacy is just too good." So later that day, Henry comes home from work with one of their friends from London, named Cora. Lenore's not happy to see her because she didn't expect another guest in the home, and again, the house is in disarray. She doesn't even know like where Cora can stay in the house. A lot of the bedrooms are like not habitable. But Cora says that she doesn't have to stay the night because she's staying in a hotel in town. Remember, Henry said the hotels? Yeah, exactly. So Carmilla joins Cora and Lenore and brings Lenore a tin of candies that she had left in Carmilla's room. And these candies, they come up again and again. Lenore eats them almost compulsively. So Carmilla gives her back the candies and tells her that she shouldn't eat them and that they're disgusting. That night, Carmilla and Lenore, they eat dinner alone. Henry's doing whatever Henry's doing, and Cora went back into town. Carmilla is basically being provocative at this dinner. She's saying like, "Oh, so your husband has like the license to explore and pursue all of his appetites, but you're not." And Lenore's like, "Well, I'm a woman." I also want to note that it's not just because she's a woman that she feels like she can't pursue or want things. It's also because of how she was raised. She already knows, like, I can't have wants, I can't have needs. That just makes me a burden. It makes me a bad person. So, in order to be a good woman, I'm not gonna want anything. Carmilla asks Lenore if she thinks that Cora and Henry are having an affair. Lenore is scandalized by the question and doesn't answer it, but she does think about it because it had crossed her mind. That night, Lenore has another dream. where she has sleep paralysis and like a cat like creature is in her room, perched on her chest and sucking on her neck. Yeah. So the next day, after she has that fucked up dream, she goes into town. She's just running errands and whatnot. And she feels really, really, really sick. And she's kind of been feeling like sick and crampy ever since she got her period at the beginning of the book. But her period ended. So now she's like, what the heck is what's wrong with me? Like, I don't know. Something's wrong. So she goes into a random hotel and sits down and she gets some tea. She's trying to collect herself. She sees Cora and Henry in the lobby of the hotel. And she's thinking about like what Carmilla said about them having an affair, and she's like, "Oh my god, are they?" She goes up to them, and Cora sees her, and they're kind of like they act kind of normal, like not suspicious enough to raise any flags. But Cora says that Henry came to the hotel to bring her to Nethershaw, so that's the only reason why they're together. Sure. So the three of them go back to Nethershaw. Lenore is still in a horrible condition when they get back home. She feels weak. She has nausea. She is vomiting. Henry and Cora are acting like horrified and irritated with her being sick. Again, like drawing parallels back to her childhood with Aunt Daphne because her Aunt Daphne didn't give a that she was sick either. They feel inconvenienced and burdened by her being sick. Carmilla is the only person that treats her with compassion. Carmilla goes into her room and lies down with her. And Lenore, she asks Carmilla to give her her books and stuff because she wants to get back to work. And Carmilla is like, no, like, you're not working. You're sick. You're not going to work. You're going to lay in this bed with me. Carmilla tells her that she needs to stop thinking about pleasing other people when they don't even pause to care about you or make sure that you're happy. Carmilla also finds another tin of those candies in her room and tries to throw them out, but Lenore gets up and grabs them from her because they're like her comfort, her little crutch. Later in the day, Lenore finds Cora in her house, leaving Henry's study. And when Henry leaves the study, he is acting suspiciously. So red flags are now raising in our girl Lenore's head. And Lenore, Cora, and Carmilla, they all go for a walk. And on this walk, they pass by a woman like singing hymns. And Carmilla is like, "Oh my god, make it stop! Make her stop singing now!" She hates the singing. She says to sew her mouth up so she could stop singing those hymns. They come to a fork in the road, and Carmilla tells Lenore to pick which path she wants to go on. Which one does she want? And Lenore is so triggered by being asked like what she wants, and this is what she says. It is a scouring gaze that fixes me in place and flays the skin and muscle from my bones until it is as though all the soft, intimate, raw parts of me are exposed for the world to peck out with its teeth and talons. I've kept myself so perfectly guarded for so long, learning to strengthen my carapace against Aunt Daphne. I have had no home to be soft in, to want and need, and to have those wants met. So, what is the point in wanting? Her feelings, her wants, her needs are locked up so tight that she can't even access them. She starts crying and she never says which path she wants to go on, and Cora ends up picking the path. They're walking for a while and they realize that Carmilla is no longer with them. So they're like, "Okay, let's go find Carmilla." So they're walking, looking for her. They find her standing in front of a barn farm situation. And as they walk closer, they see a little girl on the ground covered in blood. And the girl is eating a hen raw, like eating it alive. The girl stops and looks at them and she's like, "I was so terribly hungry." What? The next day, Henry takes Lenore to his place of work. He has to make a good impression for some investors coming to tour the factory. So Lenore has to be there because she makes him look really good. So the investors come and they're all touring the factory, and they come upon like a workstation, a workroom where a bunch of grinders are like over their workstations, like grinding metal, I assume. While they're observing the grinders, one of them has a horrific accident. The machine like busts, like something from the machine like tore his mouth open. So it's like a grisly scene, and Lenore gets like covered in blood from this, from his injury. And she says that the other workers go to help him, but Henry and the investors are completely unmoved by what they just saw. The fuck? Henry just says, don't worry about it. Like, him and his family will be like generously compensated for this injury. And they just go about their lives. They finish the tour. After the tour's over, they're in Henry's office in the factory and she presses him. And by presses him, I mean she just asks him a couple questions. She asked him about like the safety of the working conditions, and he gets out of his chair and stands over her menacingly and tells her, he basically tells her to shut the fuck up. He's very nasty and scary. And she's like, "Oh my god, I'm scared. I shouldn't have said anything. I'm sorry." And then he like brushes past it like he didn't just scare the fuck out of everyone. He gives her his anniversary gift and he's like, "Yeah, we got married 10 years ago today." And she's like, "Actually, our anniversary is next week." And he doesn't even acknowledge that it's next week. He gives her the gift. I'm going to include a little picture of what he gives her. And I know what you're thinking. You're thinking what I'm thinking, what Lenore's thinking. This is not my diamonds, bro. Where the fuck are my diamonds? He also takes this opportunity to bring up Carmilla again, and he's like, "Oh, just pay a doctor to say that she's fine so that she can get the hell out of our house." And Lenore is just disgusted by him. She's like, "Where the fuck are my diamonds, bro?" And she's like, "Oh, he's so shady. He's so callous." Like the incident at the factory and his reaction to it. She's like waking up. She's like, "Oh my god, who the hell did I marry?" She says that the way that he is so cynical and selfish, it makes her think that the whole world is also that way. So he leaves her alone in his office and she looks out the window and she sees Cora again. Well, she's now completely 100% convinced that they're having an affair because why does she keep on popping up to be alone with my husband? Sadly, she does not have the courage to confront them in this moment. So she takes her sad little ass home. She finds Carmilla like in one of the sitting rooms eating honey out of a jar, and Carmilla's like, "Girl, you have to try this." Sticks her finger into the jar of honey and puts it in Lenore's mouth. Makes her suck her finger. The two of them have dinner together, and Carmilla again does not eat. And Carmilla is pressing Lenore to say what she wants. And Lenore's like, "Girl, I don't even want anything." And Carmilla's like, "You know what? I'll tell you what I think you want. I think you want to tell Cora to get the hell out of your life. I think you want to slap your husband for all the ways that he's hurt you and made you say thank you for hurting you. And I think you want to take all of his money and never see him again." Lenore's like, "Oh my god, I don't want that." Like, but yeah, Lenore is just completely, she's not receptive to what Carmilla has to say. She's not ready. She's not ready to want. In her mind, we see her think, "Well, I can just cope silently with all of this, with all of the betrayals and all of the hurts, all of the grief and pain that is dealt my way. I'll cope with it." She also thinks that she has no other choice. She starts eating those candies again, compulsively, eating all that candy. Again, as like a coping mechanism. I think that she eats the candies also because she feels so empty. And like the candies are supposed to like make her feel full, but of course they don't work. Although she like denies herself in wanting, she does admit that she is hungry for something. She just doesn't know what. It's still too locked up. Let her cook. Let her cook. All right, y'all. This is the most disturbing part of this book. So brace yourself. That night, Henry comes into Lenore's bedroom. Remember that Lenore is basically convinced that he's having an affair with Cora now. So she's playing with the idea of like confronting him. And she thinks like the worst thing that he could say or do at this point is just not even acknowledge what she's saying, ignore her reality, and bend the world to his will. And she says that if he does that, she would just disappear completely. And it scares her. It scares her into just not saying what she wants to say. He apologizes for scaring her at the factory, and he tells her to tell him that she forgives him. And she tells him. And then they start to have sex. It's just like soul crushing reading this because first of all, he's not good at it. Did you think that he would be good at it? Of course he's not. So it doesn't feel good. And she like turns her face away from him. She says that she feels like it's like degrading and sordid. And he finally stops. They both fall asleep. And she wakes up in the night and she feels sick. And she has like a feeling like something is wrong. And she goes to check on Carmilla, and Carmilla's missing. And they start looking throughout the entire house for her. They cannot find her. Lenore's freaking out. Eventually, Carmilla shows up. Lenore asks her, like, where the hell have you been, girl? Carmilla doesn't answer. She's being elusive. And Lenore admits to seeing Carmilla in a dream while she was still in London. Remember that first night? Carmilla says that she's a mirror for those who hunger but deny themselves. They're very mysterious. The next day, Lenore still feels really, really sick, but of course Henry gives her chores. He tells her to mail something for him and other stupid chores, whatever. And she's like, okay, like it's a nice day. Let me hand deliver this mail because it's not far. So her and Carmilla, they go to deliver the mail. She knocks on the door. The woman opens the door. Lenore gives her the letter, and the woman reads the letter, crumples it up, and throws it in Lenore's face. So Lenore's like, what the hell? She reads the letter. Guys, guys. Remember a couple days ago, she saw that man suffer a gruesome injury at the Ajax factory? This woman is his wife, and the letter says that due to the internal investigation that we did, we found your husband liable for his own injuries, and therefore you are not entitled to any compensation. And not only did Henry deny the compensation, the guy who was injured, he died. So Lenore is horrified by this. Her and Carmilla, they start walking away, and there's like a big commotion in the streets, and Lenore feels drawn to like the open doors where like people are outside of, and she walks in, and there's a man, and he's like groaning and moaning. There's a huge chunk of his arm cut out, and she like smells and hears like meat being fried up. She sees this woman frying up that chunk of the man's arm and eating it. The woman doing the cannibalism, she's like, I was so terribly hungry. So Lenore goes home. Lenore goes home with Carmilla. Henry is in a rage when they get home. Why is he in a rage? Girl, who knows? He's just in a rage to be in a rage. Something's wrong with him. Something's really wrong with him. But he basically is yelling at Lenore, telling her that she can't do anything right. Lenore feels guilty. She starts crying, and Henry storms off to his study, and she's like, oh, I have to fix this. I have to fix this with my husband. She goes to find him in his study, and she sees Cora in there with him. They're all close together and stuff. And Lenore's like, oh my god, what the fuck? In my own home, bro. She runs off, and Cora follows her. And Cora's like, oh my god, I have to tell you that I'm not having an affair with your husband. I know that's what it looks like, but it's not true. And Lenore is like, okay, so why are you so close to my man? Like, why have I caught you guys together multiple times? And Cora explains that Henry wants to use Cora's family and her family's influence to get him out of trouble. His business is in trouble because his workers have gone to journalists telling them that Henry has never paid out not one compensation case based on the injuries that the workers are getting. And on top of that, the workers have come to him about the safety conditions being poor in the factory, and he has ignored every single person. And the reason why he's meeting with Cora is so that she can get him out of trouble. Lenore is wondering, like, why he felt comfortable to tell Cora this secret but not her. And she comes to the conclusion that he probably doesn't want her to have another secret of his, because it's been alluded to throughout the book that Henry has a big dirty secret that Lenore knows about. We don't know it yet, but we will. Lenore is pissed off because she's like, oh my god, if Henry goes down, bro, I'm gonna go down too. My whole life is wrapped up in him, my husband. I attach myself to a sinking ship. What the fuck? And she's thinking about the diamonds, and she's like, okay, if I didn't get the diamonds, where are they? She goes into his dirty ass room again. Again, I think it's such an amazing detail to include that his room is dirty, because of course it is. Of course, this fuck ass nigga has the dirtiest fucking room. Like, fuck you, bro. Like, he's like a big kid. Like, wow, okay. She goes into his trunk to see if she can find the diamonds. She can't find them. But what she does find is a trunk full of her tin candies. But these candies are different because the ones that she eats all the time, they're covered in powdered sugar. At least 10 tins in his trunk, they don't have any powdered sugar on them. Next to the tins, brown paper bag full of white powder. She goes into the little encyclopedia or whatever. She finds out that in this freaking paper bag of white powder is arsenic. And she looks up like the symptoms of arsenic poisoning, and it's all the symptoms that she's been having for weeks. Yeah, yeah. And she's like, oh my god, is this why Carmilla she keeps on throwing out my candy and tells me that it's disgusting? It's because she probably knew this whole time that Henry was poisoning us. Lenore, she finally spills the beans. We finally get to figure out what Henry's secret is. So this is it. Let me give you some context. This is after they just got married, almost 10 years ago. Lenore, she is carrying their marriage. Yes, he has new money, sure, but you need status in 1880s London. Status is everything. So she is like a status fairy. She is executing the most perfect social maneuvering and social climbing. She's attending parties, she's attending events, she's being friends with everyone, she's being charming. She's getting them invites to more and more exclusive events and parties and this and that. She's doing all of this social climbing with Henry right up on her back, right? Okay. She secured them an invite to a party with the brightest and best of aristocracy, politicians, royals, the oldest of old money. This kind of gave me Saltburn vibes. They go to this party, and this is supposed to be their ascendancy into like the highest of high class people, the status of all status. At this party, there are like comments and jabs being made towards Henry because he's new money. I guess there's like a little old money versus new money situation happening here. Whatever. There's one guy in particular who is taking some liberties, you know, like just like doing a little too much. I would say that he is trying Henry, like you're trying him, right? So Henry pulls him to the side and like tells him, you know, like relax, like, you know, it's, I know that it's all that it's all in good fun, but it's starting to feel like it's not all in good fun from you. So please stop. And the guy's just like, oh, whatever, like you're trash. And he's like, you're trash. All you're ever gonna be is trash. And so Henry blows his brains out. Yep, with a gun. Shoots his head off with a gun. and and Lenore sees this whole thing. So Lenore comes out and she's like, baby, it was an accident, okay? It was an accident. And so that is Henry's big secret. Let's get back to the arsenic. Right. Lenore confronts Carmilla in her bedroom about the arsenic, and she's like, Did you know that my husband was poisoning me? Tell me the truth. Carmilla is like, it doesn't matter. Like, now you know. So what are you going to do about it? Lenore, she is still very unsure. She doesn't know how to express herself. She doesn't know how to access what she feels, what she wants to do. She's lost. Carmilla starts pushing her. Carmilla shoves her a couple of times, and this makes Lenore angry, and Lenore tells her to stop. Carmilla pushes her again. Carmilla pulls her hair, and Lenore finally pushes her back. Carmilla laughs in delight. She shoves me back as though we are playing. Are you alive, little Lenore? Does your heart beat still? It is as though she has made mobile some long calcified element of my soul, a great crack of a landslide within me as something shakes loose, something buried by death and blood and fear. Lenore's waking up, baby. Lenore pushes Carmilla to the ground, and Carmilla yanks her down with her, and their bodies are flush against each other. Lenore kisses Carmilla. Bro, they're making out. Lenore says, Henry is the only person I've ever touched like this. It is quite different, not only in the softness of her body against mine, where his was hard and coarse with hair. No, the real difference is this. I see now that I wanted with Henry only to accomplish what I knew was expected of me. There was no heat, no hunger. Oh, they fuck. And they drink each other's blood. Yes. Love to see it. Love to see it. That's the end of part one. Part two is called It Is the Living. Get it? Like part one. It's not the dead you should fear, and then part two, it's the living. Oh, you knew that. You were following the whole time, weren't you? So Lenora wakes up the next day in Carmilla's bed and it's empty. Carmilla's not there. And Carmilla left a note for her. It says, Darling, aren't you magnificent? You know now. Enjoy. I'll see you soon. So Carmilla's gone, but she'll be back. She better be back. So Lenore goes to get dressed and she says that all of her gowns feel like costumes and she doesn't want to wear them, right? She's busting out, okay? She does not want to perform anymore. She's processing the fact that her husband of 10 years wants her dead. And she's just coming to some hard truth. She's like all of this labor, all of this labor, all of this shrinking, all of this denying. It was all for nothing because he wants me dead anyway. This emptiness and this hunger I've harbored for no fucking reason. For no reason at all because it didn't get me anywhere. It didn't make me lovable. It didn't make me safe. She still has no one that loves her. Henry is mad at her again for whatever the fuck. He's always mad. And she's like, well, you should have compensated that guy's family, don't you think? Right, so she's getting some back talk. Okay. She says that a better man would have taken better care of his employees. He has blood on his hands, and he calls her hysterical. Okay, okay. A couple days go by. She really misses Carmilla. She wants her back. She feels like she can't navigate this new life by herself because it is a new life. She refuses to play her part because it doesn't matter. It never mattered. And her old life is over. She ends up going to dinner with Henry and Cora, and she wears a night dress because she's not performing no more. Henry offers her another tin of candy as an apology for being mad at her again. She offers candy to Cora and he like says, "Oh no, no, no. It's gonna ruin her dinner." Henry, you're a fucking dumbass. You're the dumbest piece of shit. At the dinner, Lenore eats like a vacuum. She like devours every single dish, extra dishes, and she's starving. Like she just cannot get full no matter how much she eats. And Henry's like, girl, you better excuse yourself from this table. Find yourself. Act like a woman. And she's like, okay, well, what about you? Do you act in a way that you're proud of? She kind of alludes to the fact that he killed someone in front of Cora. So Henry's like, oh, hell no, you're getting locked up. So he forces her into her room and locks her in there for like a day or two. And she is so hungry. She's just starving. She eats the wallpaper. She eats a shoe. She eats like the leg of a chair, and like she just can't get full. Carmilla comes to the window of her bedroom and encourages her to bust the window open. And she like punches through the window. Carmilla asks her what she wants, and she has an answer for us. Lenore says, I want I want to feel free. I am like a hand that has been grasped so tightly around something that it has gone numb. I close my eyes, letting the tears that need to come spill over and pass away. I want to let go. I want to feel. How wonderfully exciting. Carmilla's smile spreads wide and sharp. Carmilla and Lenore, they go on like a little date. It's actually so cute. It's fun. It's a revelation for Lenore. And it's also steamy. Yeah, we get a little bit of spice, nothing too crazy. On this date with Carmilla, Lenore decides that she wants revenge. I want revenge too, baby girl. The next day, Lenore, she's back in Nethershaw. Henry's not there, so she goes back into his study and she starts compiling evidence of all the misconduct that he's been doing in the factory. Compiling a bunch of evidence that proves that he never paid out any of the compensation cases. He never addressed the poor working conditions. Later that day, she goes for a walk with Cora. It's like a picnic walk. She has very little patience for Cora now that she knows like her life is in danger and she has to carry out this plan to get revenge on her man. Like Cora's just annoying her. She says that now that she's awake to her own desires, it feels like she's in agony to be so unsatisfied. She notices that Cora is wearing the goddamn diamond necklace. She's like, Cora, where the fuck did you get that necklace? Cora is like stammering. She's like, Cora ends up falling off the edge of a cliff, and Lenore, she probably could have saved her, if she put like a lot more effort into saving her, she might have been able to, but she puts very little effort into saving the girl. I think there's a lot of reasons why Lenore chooses not to save her. But yeah, Cora falls off the edge of the cliff and she dies. So she goes back to Nethershaw. Obviously, they report that Cora has been in an accident, and the police come. Lenore is questioned by the police. Lenore hints towards the fact that Cora and Henry were having an affair, and that it's possible that Cora might have intentionally jumped off of the cliff because she felt scorned by Henry. The detective kind of already suspects that Henry's no good, so she leans into that. She also gives the detective the compilation of evidence that she found about Henry's misconduct, and she tells the detective, like, if anything happens to me, read the letter. Like another day or two passes, and it's the morning of the party. If you remember, Lenore was tasked with getting the house together so that they host the party. And Lenore finds Henry in her bedroom leaving another one of those candies. She goes up to him, takes the candy, and she's like, oh, like, why don't you have one? And he's like, oh no, I don't like them. I don't like them. And she's like toying with him. She opens the candy and she ends up like blowing into the candy. So all like the powder goes all over him. And he freaks the fuck out, obviously incriminating himself by having a huge reaction. And she's like, it's only powdered sugar, because she had actually replaced all the arsenic with powdered sugar. She tells him, yeah, I found your little stash of arsenic, bitch. and I replaced it with powdered sugar because you shouldn't be leaving dangerous chemicals just lying around. She tells him that she gave the detective a compilation of all of his misconduct. Should anything happen to her, the detective will open the letter and Henry will be ruined. And before he can really like lay into her or anything like that, she tells him, "Your guests are arriving. It's the day of the party, so you better go and get yourself together, so we can be good hosts." And she is a great host. She throws one hell of a party. Everyone is having a great time. Everyone's drinking. She pulled off this party like amazingly because that's what she does. Like, don't play with her. Everyone's having a good time. And she notices that Henry isn't there. So she goes to find him and she finds him like sending a summons to the asylum so that a doctor will come. She puts two and two together that, like, okay, he's gonna try to say that I'm insane and everyone will believe him because he's a man. She literally can't sleep that night because she's like, oh my god, like, what am I gonna do? In the morning, she observes Henry talking to a physician from the asylum. Like, damn, like they worked really quick. Lenore just feels disgusted with like how conniving her husband is. She sees him talking with the physician, and in her head, she's like, men conspiring in dark little holes like vermin, chittering their spiteful thoughts to one another, make the world like this, hurt people like that. I hate them, I hate them, I hate them. Girl, don't even get me started. Y'all don't want me to start. So yeah, the party commences for a second day. Everyone's having fun, right? Henry pulls her to the side to talk to her. He tells her that he regrets marrying her. He tells her that she's worse than other women. Okay, whatever. He gives her an ultimatum. Option one, we get divorced. Or option two, you spend the rest of your life in an asylum. And Lenore's like, I'm good. Because if she divorces him, then she's ruined. Like, she won't have anything. So she's like, no, I don't think I want either of those options. So she attacks him, like physically starts fighting this man, and he starts running away. Such a little bitch. She's chasing him, attacking him. She finally gets the upper hand on his bitch ass, and she bites his throat and tears it the fuck out. Yes, yes. It tears that man's throat out with her bare teeth. The police come and she blames his death on like their untrained dogs because while waiting for the police to come, the dogs had already found his body and started going to town on it. So she's like, yeah, the dogs attacked him and like I tried to get them to get away from him, but they were gonna attack me too. So yeah, he died because those dogs attacked him. And the police believe her and she gets away with it. She takes all of his money. She's single and Carmilla comes back to the house and they live happily ever after. The end. So yeah, that was Hungerstone by Kat Dunn. I clearly we're using the word Carmilla retelling like very loosely. I feel like in this book, Carmilla leaned more towards being a witch than being a vampire, even though obviously there was some blood drinking. I mean, witches can drink blood, can't they? Yeah, I loved the social commentary in this book. I really loved it. I feel like it was a little bit like heavy-handed, but I don't mind it. I don't mind it. I feel like it worked perfectly for me. In the digital copy that I read, it had like a bunch of like book club questions and one of them kind of caught my eye. It was like, what role do you think Cora played in the book? And I was perplexed by the question because I really wasn't sure. It was a question that I had asked myself too. They leave it very ambiguous as to whether or not she actually slept with Henry. Lenore still chose to let her die, right? And I'm thinking, Cora has to symbolize like the woman that Lenore thought that she wanted to be. The idea of a woman. I think Cora dying is her killing that idea that like there is a perfect way to be a woman in this world. Yeah, I fucking love this book. I love Carmilla. I feel like if you're a sapphic and you like vampires, then like you know who Carmilla is. We know who Carmilla is. So I think this is the best retelling that I've ever read. I have a physical copy over there of the original Carmilla, and I also have a copy of Carmilla and Laura, another one of my favorite books, another 5-star read. I really like Carmilla. Yeah, I can go on and on about why I love this book. There's so much to love in it. There's literally so many things to just nibble on. So yeah, let me know if you read this book. Let me know your thoughts. Do you agree with me about like my analysis of Cora? Obviously, I didn't get too into it, but let's discuss. Thank you for coming to book club. I'll see you next time. Bye bye.